Hey guys, this is DFD, aka Dark Frozen Depths, back with another Kamihime PROJECT video. Now, this one is going to be a little bit different because it's more of a tip type of guide in order to help out with when it comes to using your characters and all that too, because these are tips that people may or may not even know, and I kind of want to have them on camera. So first off, I'm going to jump right into it. When it comes to setting up your characters on your party and all that too, position can matter quite a lot. Like, right here for positioning, this team is actually, like, pretty solid. But, generally, you want to try and arrange your characters and how fast they fill up their burst gauges. That can be from, like, normal attacks, or if they have abilities that up it. Like, Iris can get an additional 10 every turn regardless. Shiva, however, can't. Because, Shiva does get additional burst gauge, but it's not as frequent as Iris. Meanwhile, Uriel can actually put up like 2 full fills and all that. So again, it's like a case of like how you arrange your teams. So, like, I'll even go to a different Yuri team than I normally have. Like, I do believe it was one of these teams somewhere. In fact, I can probably load a preset for this. Yeah, this one, which more or less has the same characters. But I've set this up because this is the team I've used to get 4 full bursts in a row. That was long before Yuri ended up getting her new skill that costs 100 MP, which is definitely better to use because you'll end up dishing out more damage basically. But this is what I pretty much mean. Like, Yuri, can't do much about her, but it's not just the positioning where what that matters, but what you have for your characters, because the soul has the stuff set up so she can like instantly fill up burst gauges, and then she's got this burst damage plus, which I'm talked about for the 100 MP skill. But the other one I would have used is this one right here, which is encourage inspiration. Vigorous rush is definitely better though if you can get off your full burst. But going by positioning and all that I mentioned, like Michael, I'm going to change her equipment though, because I want to change how she has her accessories just to have this on camera, because I've already like butchered it a little bit. But or actually no, I could just give her a double piece right here, I do believe. Yeah, that's what I wanted. Notice how it says start with Zeal, and Zeal gives you like 10 burst gauge at the end of the turn. That's key for what I'm trying to set up here, because EA has an ability where she can get 2 full burst gauges. Uriel has an ability where she can get, well, 2 abilities where she can fill up her burst gauges. Michael has a special ability where if she bursts, it gives everybody on the team 20 burst gauge, even if they haven't bursted yet. So if they did, they'll start off with 20 the next time. If they're about to burst, they'll get 20 before they are even factored in, which allows Frey to actually burst as well. So here's a good example of it. I'm going to go into one of the raids real quick, because I do a crap ton right here as is. And I don't necessarily have to pick her, but I think I will just because I see her, because this is just going to up my damage even further. But just going into this real quick, again, pay attention to the positioning of your teams and all that, because there's stuff like this. And plus, I'm in burst time too, so that helps out. But I generally just put off my debuffs, get some elemental buffs just because. And Frey, I want to use this ability so she can like do other things as well, because this is going to like dish out a lot. But let's have Yuri have those. EA can probably land this, and then I shouldn't need anything else other than that. Okay, so now just starting off, everybody's ready to burst, but Frey would need 60 normally in order to burst off of this. So that's why I'm letting the animations play just to show this off. But as you can see, doing a lot of damage. There you go. And this is just another showcase of how powerful some of the abilities are, because Yori's adding 1.5 million to everybody's burst damage, like a flat 1.5 million. So that's already a good sizable bump for damage. Now, Frey wouldn't be able to burst after this, but look at what Michael does. Sends her to 100 anyway and gives everybody 20. That's what I mean by positioning. Because Michael's in front of Frey, Frey can burst. And that allows this to happen. Now, going even further, I'm going to just fill that up again. This time it doesn't matter who does what. And now, this is what I mean by, like, everybody able to fill up. So, Frey fills up everybody. Mike fills up everybody. Uriel can fill up herself. EA can fill up herself. I'll even give her the rage buff. I'll give these buffs. And I really didn't need to use everything, but I could. And now because of this, everybody has just enough to do it again. This is what I mean by positioning, guys, because of that positioning, I got all 3 turns of Yori's special ability just boosting everybody's burst damage. So that's 15 bursts that got that 1.5 million, which is a lot of extra damage that they got tacked on, as you can see. And I couldn't even use Uriel's 100 BG to give her past the 100 to up her damage even further. But that's just insane how this goes off. And then some of your other buffs too. That's why Frey just did like almost 6 million right there. And look, I just beat that in 3 turns. This is what I mean by positioning and all that, because I position my characters perfectly, use their buffs accordingly. They managed to kill this boss. And I came to find out that Uriel's burst resistance is only 15%. So that's only 15% defense down, basically. And they managed to 3-turn that. Now, another case of positioning, I could switch the party. That would be this team right here, because it doesn't look like too much because everybody can get combo rate and everything. But the details on this character, she has this accessory right here where it gives her extra damage reduction when she's in the front. That's another case of positioning. So as long as she's in either this slot right here where she's in, or in Dogda's slot, that would give her some stuff too. Like, that would give her some extra protection. If she's in one of these 2 right here, where it's got the blue R diamonds right here, then that means that she's not going to have that effect. It has to be the orange F. Now, other tricks too that some people tend to use, I will actually show it off. I think I have the Casper team already like set up, but I will show it off by changing some of the characters here, because I have 2 characters that can do this. Like, there's Michael, there's Shiva. Now I'm going to toss in others because I have something else I can use. So for instance, if I want somebody that can, like, I would say lower some defenses a little bit, or maybe even give them combo rate, I can get somebody from here. But I'm trying to pick characters that can up everybody's burst gauges so I can do it again. And I may have to swap out Michael's positioning as well. But who else fills up a lot at once? I need to see where she's at. There she is. Okay, so I got this team right here, and I'm gonna swap those out because Michael's got the thing to up her stuff. So there you go. But there's that. I'm gonna switch out Caspar for somebody else too, because I'm gonna put in the Yori thing again. But this is also another thing of what I mean by positioning. So switch that formation, give her stuff back. And this is why I wanted to do this on camera, just to show this off. And I'm not even going to use her one ability, so I'm going to take this, I'm going to take this, and I will be taking that inspiration this time. So this is what I mean by positioning and all that. Now, if you're looking at why I have 3 of the same element and then 2 off element, that's because I'm doing something a little bit different, because I'm going to try and get like a different lineup. And I'm going to go back into that aura fight again. Only this time I'm not even going to worry about this page, because I'm trying to get this one, Diablos Unleashed. And somebody happens to have a stronger one too, so that's even perfect timing. So, go into here. Now, I have my 3 elements, so I'm getting that 200% special attack. I can summon her for a little bit more special attack increase. And now I can have Shiva go here. Now, remember how Michael had a buff that was like light elemental? That would clash with Shiva. So what I would do is just hold off until it's over. And just go off of that. Sevarog's probably just going to up dark attack, but she needs those little charges. And you're going to need that for the critical, or the stinger it should be, and the burst. And that should be everybody ready for that one. So now, and I'm going to just skip the damage because I'm not trying to show the damage right now. But here's this, burst again. And now this is what I mean by positioning, because I got a few burst gauge fills. So Sevarog. There you go. Now I can use Michael's. Now this is enough to full burst except for Shiva. But look what happens if I do this. She's suddenly in position for a full burst. And I can do it again. And this is why I intentionally did this too, because I wanted to take some extra turns in order to go through this. Now I'm not doing as much damage because I'd probably be better off with a full team and doing all that crazy stuff I showed earlier. But the special attack is doing quite a bit though. Like I could tell, it's overcapping by quite a lot. But see how everybody can full burst. Like that was proving my point right there for the positioning thing. Everybody can full burst, and there you go. Like that's what I mean by matter of positioning. And look, Shiva's got another 30. I can use this. I can use this, but I gotta wait a turn. But I can even still burst with Yori and still get some stuff here too. It all depends. But that's what I mean by positioning, because if you get the proper positioning, you're going to be good to go for all that. Because I still was able to do the same 3 full bursts in a row, basically. Now I'm going to skip a few turns in order to speed this up. But, and I'm also going to need to heal too. because as you can see, so I'm going to put in North Star. And this is another thing too. Notice how their HP dropped to 1, even though they didn't have the 2,500. North Star doesn't kill you. Some people knew this, some people didn't. So there you go for that one. I've gotten Michael into some vigor range, but it's not full blown. But you see what I'm getting at. It's like you have to learn how to utilize your stuff. And now Michael's buffs have gone off cooldown. I can use Shiva's again. And I'm also going to use these and let everybody just use their abilities right now. This is what I mean by positioning, knowing when to use your buffs and your debuffs and all that type of stuff. Because when you do it properly, it works. But this is another thing I wanted to talk about with the DAU thing, which is why I let that one character die. You're supposed to have 3 elements. Like when you have 3 main characters right here, like out of these 5, 3 different elements. There's only 2. So I lost a special attack. So now look what happens when I'm going to attack a little bit. Because I got to give it a turn. Now, remember that Mike and Yori were doing like 2.7 mil or 2.6 mil. Now that I've lost that special attack, look how much damage I'm doing. Because this is also an example if you don't properly utilize your team. Yeah, notice I lost like a good 500,000 off of that. I'm still hitting the burst soft cap. In fact, I'm going over it. But I'm not even capping on soul. But the thing is, though, Michael should have been doing way more than that. And even for Ashraya, she just wasn't doing that much to begin with, but now it's like pitiful damage. It's not even 6 digits. That's what I mean by the whole thing with trying to make the most of your stuff too. Because if you're playing properly, you'll be fine. If you're not playing properly, then stuff like that happens. So now I suddenly just lost a whole bunch of damage because I let one of those characters die. And I could, of course, sap and have like something like, say, like a healer instead, or maybe some protection or whatever. But you see what I mean about that. It's like not too many people tend to factor that type of stuff in. So therefore they may end up losing out on some damage or whatever. You never really know. In fact, Ashraya should let me burst. And I can just full burst with everybody. But it's not like R should survive that anyways. But that's what I mean. Like, it slowed down the fight because I let the wrong person die. Now, there's also something else I want to show too, and it's going to end up being in this fight. So, I'm going to go back to my party. And I'm going to change all of this again. So now, I'm going to pick something a little bit more interesting. I have my dark resistance. I'm going to keep Mike in there. I'm going to put in arrows for the example. And then I'm going to put in this character. And I don't think they stack, but I'm going to put in... Well, actually, no. I'm going to put in this character just because. Because I want those specifically in there. And then I'm going to change this out to Perseus just to prove a point. And while I don't have the proper weapons for Perseus, I can still put this in. So there's this, and I'm going to keep this. Well, actually, I'm going to switch this one out because I want to get more damage in, which is why the Stinger weapon's coming in. But now I'm going into there. So I want this one. And then just because I can electrify too. But I'm going to go a step further. And where is it? Vicissitudes. There we go. Now then, there's a specific reason I'm doing this for this fight, because a lot of people tend to say that this raid ends up being quite a bit of trouble, but that's really not the case. So I'm going in with this, and I'm going to pick my usual, but I don't see anything special. So there's a specific reason why I set up this team like this. And I'm going to intentionally kill off one of the bunnies too. The blue bunny, so the red one will nuke me. But this fight does a lot of different debuffs on you. What people don't seem to know is how debuffs truly work. Now, because there's elemental advantage at play, I would debuff the enemy more. For some reason, enemies don't have elemental advantage against you if you're using a light or a dark team. But because of that, I can have this. And it's upping my debuff resistance. That's standard, that's something that everybody probably knows. Like affliction resistance up. What people don't tend to know is this. I have dark resistance up. It lowers the damage I take from dark attacks. But it also lowers the chance of dark enemies debuffing me. Most people don't know that. In addition to that, you see this light attack up buff? This elemental buff is also going to up my debuff chances for my light characters. So I can go here and have a very good shot at debuffing now. So landed both of those. And now I'm also going to put this up. And whatever happens, happens. And I'm going to put this on them as well. And notice how that landed. So that's the thing with that. I have resistance increase, I have chance increase, all of that. That's stuff that stacks. Now I'm going to let those shades disappear so I can actually show off like, okay, now you're going to take extra damage from this. Like, you're going to get debuffed or whatever. Now, if the enemy wasn't dizzy, then that would have played out a little bit better. But as you can see, though, I've upped my chances of landing debuffs quite significantly. But there's also stuff like this, where I'm protected against debuffs. And notice how it guarded against the sleep. Rampage is something different, because Rampage counts as a buff. That's why I wasn't blocked. But I was able to basically resist that sleep one. And then I need something to pop up for the defensive stats. I need Michael's abilities to pop up again. But notice how some of that stuff said miss. Quite a lot just there. That's what the advantages and all that happen to do. Like, I'm even lowering the enemy's debuff chances. Like, that's a lot of stuff that's popping up with all that. That's what I'm getting at. And I will play through a few more turns. Because Michael's thing should pop up again. Yeah, there we go. Now, I need to heal that sleep because I want Perseus' ability if I can. Yes. Okay, so there's vicissitudes again. There's this again. And I'm also going to give this attack defense up. So let me attack the main boss again. But I am missing because I'm blind. All those missed. That was 9 out of 10 debuffs that just missed because of stacked resistances. You see what I'm getting at? And now then this boss is going to also, it tends to nuke you depending on the damage. But I'm going to reroute this a bit. And also force myself to triple attack. So the blue one should die. I don't know if it's going to auto target the red. Good, it doesn't. So that said, all those missed. It's raging, and now it's going to try and hit me really, really hard. That's where this stuff tends to come in. Like, I got this Dragoon, I got my defense buffs, I got some resistances. Now, watch how much damage I take from this thing trying to nuke me. And I'll explain how it works after you see the damage. It's only doing like hundreds. It's not doing thousands like most people would take. Reason behind that is because I had 2 forms of this dark resistance increase. One from Neodolans, one from Michael. And I do believe total that makes 70%. I could have even upped it further by casting this. That Arrow's ability I just used would have upped my defense. And it mitigates some damage. When you can stack different forms of protections like that, you may not even need attack and defense down. That's what makes it so interesting. So when you utilize all your stuff like that, that's where it really kicks in and does a lot of different things. This is what I mean by utilizing the best of your buffs and your debuffs. Lining up your characters accordingly so you can like do your bursts and everything. That's where the strategy in this comes in, because it's very strategic that way. It's something that a lot of people tend to overlook. And then I could just finish this off. I already have a debuff protection, but I just gave myself like a second stack of it, basically. So I can like resist 2 debuffs. However, it's not recommended because both get used at once, but the main reason is because of the ability damage I wanted to do, which should finish this off. And there you go. I had increased ability damage when I did all of that. So yeah, that's a lot of stuff that people tend to like forget. Like how debuffs work and then trying to arrange your characters and whatnot. The thing is too, the position of your characters does not determine who gets smacked by the enemies. Because that's something that's a little bit of a misconception. The ones in front, they don't get smacked more often than the ones in the back. I tend to find that enemies just have their own little attack references and all that they go by. Like some fights really love targeting your healers for some reason. But that's just it too. Like I stacked all those different resistances and everything, and that helped me out greatly with taking less damage. I could even went a step further, and anytime an enemy was dizzied, this girl would have reduced the damage I took, because this ability right here, they call it Dazzling, they also call it Dizzy, Charm, it's all the same. Enemies under it would deal less damage to the entire team because of this second ability that she has. This doesn't make her completely overpowered. She is my most favorite character, but she's not one of the strongest. In fact, she's pretty niche if you want to be honest. But she comes with a dark attack down, which I could have used in order to lower the debuff chances of that boss. On top of all the stuff that I had. Because I could put dark attack down, I could have put my dark resistance up, I could have put affliction resistance up, I could have put the affliction chance down. And that boss probably wouldn't have landed crap. That's what I mean by all that type of stuff. It's like, it's how you use your characters, basically. Now, I will say this, not every character is good, but there are some that are better than what people would give credit. I can easily say that everybody on this light list right here, every last character from this light SSR is usable. Does it make them super OP must have? No. Because some are clearly better than others. But if you get any of these characters, you still have somebody usable. Like any of these light characters. And it doesn't just extend to that. Here's an element that people tend to look down upon quite a bit when you compare all the different types of damage. I can say this. Everybody on this list is also usable as well. Literally everybody on this list as well. It's just the fact that some are still better than others. Like this character, for example, she's viewed as one of the worst fire SSR, but she still has maybe some debuffing you might want. You might even need that blind too, because there are some wind fights that actually have some combo rate. She can put blind on those enemies. She's still upping your defense, which could stack with, say, this character right here, who's giving you some elemental resistance. And then can also stack with, say, this character right here, who gives you damage cut. And you can even go further and put Apollo, who I just showed, with this Fox Girl Daki, mix them two together, you have 100% damage resistance. However, in malicious raids, that's cut in half, so it only total 50%. The defense buffs are not cut in half, so I think this one gives, like, I think 20 or 30% defense increase. So that's a little bit more protection on top of that 50%. You never know. And then this character, she falls off for the upper raids, but she has a paralysis debuff. And paralysis is very potent because enemies under paralysis, or whatever I just used with Perseus too, she has a form of it as well, they can't move at all. Enemies will not take a turn. Again, it all depends on how you use your characters. It really does. It depends on how you use your characters, how you position them, when you're using your buffs and your debuffs, because if debuffs are going to clash, then it's best to have one person that does a debuff. Unless one's like turn-based. Like if they're both turn-based debuffs, then you can alternate that. But if it's time-based ones, like say this one who has a fire resistance down for like 80 seconds, then any other character with fire resistance is just going to clash with her. So there's no point in doing that. But say for example you have these two characters, and I've shown this off a few times before in videos. Let's say you have Iris, light resistance. Notice how it's 180 seconds. Guess what? It stacks with this girl, and hers is turn-based. It is 4 turns. They both stack to 50% defense down. That's what I mean by how you use your characters. Time-based and turn-based will definitely stack. So that's something to know. Like they will stack with each other. But anyways, that's enough about that. And one last thing I need to kind of go over to is people tend not to really think about what they need to go after for weapons and all that type of stuff. If you have it unlocked, Epic Quest is the first place you should start. Like I don't have all of them unlocked. I need to go through some of them. But say just go through here. You need more fire weapons? Here's your fire SSR if you can go get some of those. I don't have them on the list, but they are in here. And it'll be your starter weapons until you can go right here. And notice how there's an ultimate. Like that ultimate Infernal Onslaught is where you start getting your fire SSR that can final break, aside from the events. Then you can go further, get some stuff from the Foul Egg raid right here, this Ragnarok one. Then you'll eventually start getting them from Malicious. I need more materials to host this thing, because I gotta go back and get more of that stuff. But case in point, you can just go through with all these different elements, do the same stuff, like Ultimate Raid, then the Ragnarok raid with the Guardian, then go into Malicious and get that stuff. And then while you're also trying to do Malicious and Ragnarok Plus raids, you will be getting these weapons, because these are very powerful and you should get them. Zodiac. One of each element always has Vigor. One of each element always has Rebellion. Take whichever one works for you. If you're not keeping your HP high, you probably need to go Rebellion. There's only one exception to the rule, and that would be Light, because Light characters, you could try Rebellion, but they don't really suit Rebellion. So you're better off going for this weapon right here, where it's Vigor. But any other elements have at it. I tend to find that this weapon works pretty well for me on Dark, but I could have went for the other one as well. And which is ironic too, because this one right here, this is my Zodiac sound, ironically. But that's the thing. It all depends on how you utilize your stuff. And that's also part of the reason why I have this type of weapon grid right here, where it still uses this little weapon right here. Because when you tend to get some of the strongest grids, you will like taper off from these type of weapons. We call these the null weapons or the phantom weapons. But for my current grid, it's actually one of the stronger options. Because if I remove it, I'm going to lose a crap ton of base stats. My damage may or may not drop. It depends on how I'm using and who I'm fighting. It definitely will drop if I'm not fighting a dark enemy. And my max HP is going to drop as well. That's why I keep that weapon there. You have to sometimes test that stuff out. And that's because most people tend to overlook how much it really does inflate your base stats. Because you see this wheel right here that says 527 HP, 62, 64 attack. Well, if I just up and remove this weapon, oh look, it lost like 1/3 of its stats. So yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So I just suddenly lost like 1/3 of my stats right there just by removing that weapon for all glaives. And you notice how much it dropped too. Look at how much HP I'm gaining. Look at how much attack I'm gaining. That is roughly 1/4 of my base attack and 1/3 of my base HP. Just right back there the minute I put it back on the grid. Base stats do follow off of your assault, your defender, all of that. They are the main factor to that, because it is what you are first calculating into the damage formula. So you can have your assaults, your vigors, your stingers, and all that. It factors off of base attack. When it comes to defender, it factors off of base HP. So be careful about your base stats. Sometimes you may need these weapons. Sometimes you may need a certain weapon compared to another one. That's another thing I have to give a tip on, because that's another thing that's commonly overlooked, and it is a little bit annoying, because I do get that question quite a lot, if somebody should use it, but I can't really give a definitive answer. You have to test out and see, because if you notice your damage is dropping when you have it on, then simply just take it off. If you want more health, you may have to have it on, because it's a very good factor for more HP. But that's the type of stuff that everybody needs to pay attention to, and that's what I'm getting at. But anyways, that's all for this. One last little hint too that some people tend to overlook. Please always pull this. This gym gacha every day. Reason being, you see this weapon right here. This one, it's nothing special, but it does help me with raising my skill levels. But it has a +1. If you want more +1 orbs, this is the best way to find those. You go through, do all your pulls. Maybe you might see some, maybe you won't. But you'll get +1s for weapons, you'll get +1s for Eidolons, you'll eventually get them. There's no guarantee when, but you will eventually get them. I'm actually having bad rolls on camera right here because I'm not getting too many +1s. Normally, you'd see a lot more than this. Especially for the Eidolons. I should have gotten a +1 Eidolon by now. But that's just bad luck on camera. But definitely do all the pulls for that. If you are somehow, some way lacking gems, you can always go in here and grind out more. Material quests, right there. And always do ultimate. But anyways, that's all for this. Again, you have to pay attention to what you're doing. You have to pay attention to how you line up your characters, use your buffs, use your debuffs. You can even switch around your weapons, because weapon skills matter, but so do base stats. That will help you become a lot better at this game. Trust me when I say that. You may even have characters where somebody might say, oh, they suck, but it turns out they're actually really good for that one specific situation. Because I will even say this again. This girl is nowhere near meta. She is nowhere near OP. But this ability set is perfect for this one specific raid right here. This one specific raid. Both of these, honestly, but it's more suited towards the original Oach, not the malicious. But she's very good for the original Oach. The one that costs 60 AP. And most people don't seem to know that. That is how I sold that fight. Thanks to her delaying Oach so much. But anyways, that's all for this. More will come soon. And again, I can't stress this enough. Test things out on your own. Because you may be overlooking something. Maybe a better buff, maybe a better debuff. Maybe you got the characters in the wrong order so your burst can come in faster. You never know. But as much information as I can put out on this game through videos, as much information as others may tell you, there's a lot of stuff you still got to test out on your own. Because that can be the difference from doing, say, like 1 million damage compared to, say, 10,000. And this is also how some of the Japanese players have done some absurd stuff. They are dealing 9-digit normal attack hits. 9 digits per hit. And that's because they experimented with the game and found out what works and what doesn't. But anyways, that's all for this. More will come soon, and take care.